Policing is one of the most commonly dramatized careers in modern television. So common, in fact, that about 20% of all entertainment involves police in some way, shape, or form. However, that is television, and television requires embellishment. Yes, you will be part of foot pursuits or shootouts, but far less than SVU would have you believe. You'll see motorcycle units or patrol units weaving in and out of thick traffic, but only under the most dire of circumstances. You will see precincts engage in some banter, but never as much as you might expect or see on primetime Fox. So, if policing is not what you see on TV, what is it? Well, modern policing is perhaps one of, if not the most stressful jobs in the world. An average day as an officer, you could be doing something as simple as disbanding a small group of school-skipping teenagers, but you could also be going to deal with a massive shootout and multiple injuries. It's impossible to pick how your day will go when you start, and it's this level of unpredictability that causes so many negative repercussions for officers who stay in the job for as long as possible. In order to fully understand the repercussions of being a police officer, you have to understand stress, the nature of it. Not all stress is bad, however. There is good stress, eustress, or bad stress, distress. Eustress, in essence, is positive stress. This is stress that brings a pleasant sensation to those who experience it. Eustress is very common for those who enjoy challenging themselves. Most often they'll receive it through social interactions or pursuing personal interests or exploring creative processes. For new police officers, most commonly, you will experience eustress once you are on the field producing results on your calls or on your first patrols. On those calls and on those patrols, however, you will not only experience eustress, but you may encounter distress. Distress is the harmful variant of stress, one that threatens to overload a person's ability to process the present situations, often causing overabundance of stimuli to overwhelm someone. This is understandable. A police officer's job is incredibly difficult, often violent, very dangerous, so a overabundance of distress is almost expected, especially to new officers. Should an officer continuously experience distress and have it mount, inevitably they will reach the burnout stage. Burnout is the progressive loss of idealism, purpose, and energy, and comes in 5 stages. There is the enthusiasm stage, the stagnation stage, the frustration stage, the apathy stage, and the intervention stage. Perhaps one of the biggest contributors of stress are critical incidents. Critical incident is an emergency situation, say a crime in progress or something as large as a terrorist attack, something that requires immediate police intervention. Perhaps even more stressful than a critical incident, however, is a police-involved shooting where the officer may fatally wound another person. It's not uncommon, should this happen, for an officer to experience the 5 stages of grief. It's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. In the event of a critical incident or a possible police-involved fatality, it's not rare for an officer to eventually develop PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Symptoms of PTSD include consistent, vivid memories, a loss of interest, trouble sleeping, and hypervigilance. However, it is not all doom. If caught early and treated, a lot of the long-term effects of post-traumatic stress disorder can be eliminated. Something that might be less obvious as a problem is the issue of fatigue. As an officer, you are expected to work odd hours for very long shifts, and unfortunately that may result in a level of exhaustion setting in. Now, for most jobs, being tired simply means taking a break, kicking back. But for a profession such as a police officer, even a moment of hesitation or disinterest can result in disaster. This isn't to say that they want to be on these long shifts, A survey revealed that some logged in 100 hours of overtime, and the idea is that they spent days sometimes on shift without so much as a break. The last subject I want to bring up is sexual harassment, an issue that's going on to this day. Sexual harassment is defined as the unwelcome advances or requests for sexual favors. As police work is a male-dominated field, it's an abnormally large gap between how many male officers there are female. There are two prevalent forms of sexual harassment in the workplace, as quid pro quo sexual harassment and a hostile work environment. Quid quo pro sexual harassment is the exchange of sexual favors for some sort of benefit in the workplace, say a promotion or a more favorable position. As I said before, sexual harassment is still fairly common in the workplace, especially in the field of police work, but there have been attempts to curb this incident, such as California instating a mandated sexual harassment training for any new probationary officers.